Did you know that one of the most important parts of your car, mobile phone, or medical device is the one you never see? Tune into this podcast episode to find out what I'm talking about and how this tiny piece of metal powers the tech we use daily. Hello, friends! You are watching or listening, depending on the platform of your choice. Brand new episode of the Green New Perspective podcast. Hopefully, your go-to place when you want to learn about innovative technologies shaping our world and our future, and discover marketing strategies that are helping these innovative companies to grow. My guest today is Nicole Kangos from Snaptron, a Colorado-based company that is producing tactile dome switches for 35 years now. So stay tuned to learn what dome switches are if you don't already know, and discover how the small US-based company is going head-to-head with global giants, why trust and speed set them apart, and how this tiny component is actually shaping the way we use technology every day. Enjoy the conversation.
This episode of Green New Perspective is brought to you by New Perspective Marketing. For over 20 years, New Perspective has helped future-focused B2B tech companies grow by building thought leadership, attracting better qualified leads, and driving pipeline growth. If you're ready for smart strategies, measurable results, and a partner who's invested in your success, visit npws.com to learn more.
Hey, Nicole, welcome to the Green New Perspective podcast. Great to have you here.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
So for starters, can you give us let's say, quick introduction to Snaptron, what the company does, what the problem you're ultimately solving for your customers, and can you introduce yourself and share a bit about your career path in marketing?
Yeah, I can. I'll start with the company first. So Snaptron is a local manufacturer. We manufacture what's called a tactile dome switch. It's a product that you've probably interacted with already multiple times today, and you don't even know it. It's in everything from consumer electronics to more critical like applications like an aviation cockpit panel, for example. So essentially what it is a switch in the tactile switch market, a niche part of that product called a dome switch. It's a stainless steel piece of metal that when you press it actuates, and it's in, like I mentioned, all kinds of applications. So we're very lucky to work in many industries and spaces all across different sectors. So we typically work closely with engineers. Usually a mechanical or design or product engineer is our bigger segment of customers all across the world. So the company's been around for over 35 years now. It was started kind of out of a garage and from a man at the time who was working for a similar manufacturer, metal stamper, who was making this part and decided that they were going to offshore the manufacturing. And he didn't agree with the direction the company was going. So he figured out how to make the part in his garage and decided, I'm going to keep the manufacturing local and keep the material and, really high quality and the product a high quality product instead of offshoring it. And still to this day, we manufacture a small facility in Windsor, Colorado, which is about an hour north of Denver. And 100% of our manufacturing is done there. Our steel is sourced in the U.S. as well, so we can say that our product is made in the USA. I know a big topic right now for things that are going on globally in supply chain. But yeah, so that's a little bit about the company and kind of what we do, who we serve. And I think what really makes us unique is our ability to, first off, we have the widest breadth of product in this kind of space available on the market from a standard perspective. And then custom wise, we can make and turn around products very quickly due to our manufacturing process. So, we can turn custom designs for an engineer in 4 to 6 weeks, way faster than, any of our competitors on the market. So it's a really high quality product. It's not the cheapest on the market. We've been told we are the Kleenex of this category of dome switches, and we like that categorization of us. But yeah, anyways, and then I'm Nicole Kangos. I've been at the company for about 6 years. I'm director of marketing there. I didn't have a really traditional path into marketing at all. I got my degree in international relations and found my way into marketing over the course of my 10 years or so that I've been in the field now, always in the kind of B2B space. And I used to previously work in agriculture and really found a nice home in manufacturing that had a lot of synergy in that space as well. And, really love manufacturing and the community around it. It's been a really rewarding career path.
Yeah, yeah, it makes
Yeah, we
sense.
have a small company. We're only about 80 employees, and everyone wears a lot of hats, including me.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Snaptron has been around for over 20, 35 years, right?
Yes.
So, how does the company's origin story that you just told us still shape how you approach the innovation today?
Yeah, so there's still a very heavy engineering presence. And I think engineering is the center star for us and how we kind of conduct ourselves and do everything. It allows us to be very innovative and agile in our approach. And I think what's so nice about some of that origin and what the original intention was and starting the company really still exists today, which is to be very customer centric. And I know that's kind of a trendy term now, but
Got it.
they really do mean that when they say that, even if it means steering a customer away from a solution that just doesn't fit, because it's so important to us to build the relationship and the rapport with our engineers and our customer base that even if that means, what, we don't think that this product actually is the right fit for you, and we would recommend going to something else.
Fair.
But we found that that business comes back to us 5, 10 years later, and we're fine with that. So it's really important to build trust and rapport, and I love that about the company. It makes my job easier and my messaging and everything when we can really confidently say that we will support you, and it's a value we add early on in the process of sourcing a part like ours.
Right. I mean, it definitely helps that Snaptron has developed products that are award-winning. You are recognized at the Electra Awards. So can we explain to our audience what the Electra Awards are and what role does marketing play in helping technical innovation reach this wider visibility?
Yeah, the Electra Awards is kind of an industry specific award, I'd say, in electronic space. So most people that would work in electronics would know of it. It's run by a pretty well-known magazine in the space, and it's a pretty prestigious award ceremony held in London every year. It looks at all the different innovation going on in the electronic space through different categories. So I think it was back in 2023, yeah, I believe we entered a new line we had released, which has taken us a long time to develop and many hours. It's called a surface mount switch, essentially, which is common in a lot of parts. Can't contract manufacturers use surface mount technology constantly. It helps speed up the manufacturing process. But one of the barriers in our product line had always been that there wasn't a good solution and way to mount our part through surface mount technology. And so we developed a line after many years of developing and troubleshooting and R&D efforts, this innovative approach to be able to surface mount our switches right on the PCB board. And that has really just changed the cost savings to our customers so they can manufacture this part in line just like any other part. So that award was, a wonderful recognition for the efforts our team had put into the product for so many years. And what was even cooler about it was that we were, up against bigger electronic manufacturing companies like Panasonic in our specific category for the passive electromechanical award and, beat them out. And it was kind of a surreal experience to be there. And it was just me that they sent to London. We weren't sure what it entailed and if we were going to win or not. And to walk by many tables of people with their whole teams at Panasonic and other companies like that, to be a small manufacturer, American manufacturer, and win that, award was really prestigious and a big testament to all the hard work our team has put into a product like that.
So you won the manufacturing Oscar.
Basically, yes.
Another thing that I found interesting when I was researching the company is that you have even developed your own house testing equipment, the
Yes.
Sapphire machine,
Yes.
which
Yes.
as far as I understood, measures the feel and performance of the switches. So
Yeah.
why was it important to build that internally, and how does it give you an edge on the market?
Yeah, that's a great question. So two things there. I think we have a really interesting challenge in our space because we're so niche that we have a hard time buying equipment that fits our needs. So we wind up having to develop a lot of our machinery in-house. And that machine too, then, and that machine in particular was designed in-house. This is actually the third rendition of that machine. So it's gone over many iterations and improved over the years. But essentially, how hard a switch feels when you press it. Think if you're wearing gloves, for example. Maybe you're a soldier and you're wearing a glove and you need to press a button on a walkie-talkie. How do you do that? Can you feel the feedback? All that's really important. And it's things that product designers and engineers get to think about on the component level. And we can really customize that solution based on that data, right? So we use that data to say, this is exactly how much force it takes to actuate this dome. And then we can give that data to our customers. They can then also test once their assembly is complete, say their product now has a button on top of it and other factors in the application. Does that switch still feel like it's intended to feel? So that's what that machine we use in-house in our quality QC process, but we also sell it as well to our customers.
Manufacturing is often seen as slow moving. So how do you maintain agility in product development?
Yeah, it is slow moving in some ways, but we tend to bring 3 to 4 products to market. That might be not the standard for a lot of manufacturers, but because of our methods, we can really adapt and develop something pretty quickly through our tooling process and our agility. We have a small team of engineers. They touch on everything, from software to controls to electrical and mechanical engineering. And we have to work fast and lean. We have to touch many different, departments and such. So to be able to have a small team is sometimes at an advantage. There's not a lot of red tape to go through. You can talk to the director of engineering at any time and he's very accessible. And you make decisions quickly with leadership. And if we need to buy a machine, we can get an answer about that the same day. If we need to add new material and get new material, our procurement team can answer that fast, right? So sometimes there is an advantage to being able to launch products fast with a small team like ours that I think you wouldn't necessarily see in a bigger facility, which is a really cool thing about working for a small manufacturer that often gets overlooked.
Well, talking about agility, innovation, and changes,
Mhm.
you've led Snaptron's first rebrand in decades. So, what's been the most surprising long-term impact of that effort?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, the brand is really strong. When I came in, manufacturers don't often think about brand a lot. They are concerned about quality and customer needs and manufacturability. But that being said, they had such a strong reputation. As a matter of fact, actually, our product name, Tactile Dome Switch, is not very well known. So people actually knew our brand name, Snaptron, and synonymous with our product category. Kind of like earlier, like I said, about Cleantech in a similar
Yeah.
kind of fashion. So, I thought we had a really strong brand, but the image didn't really match it. So I saw this really cool opportunity to say, where is the brand going? And, is this the right time to do this? And, that was a very well received effort. And we saw huge increase in direct traffic from doing that. We already had pretty strong direct traffic driven to our website just from our brand name alone. But once we did the rebrand, we saw that uptick. And that's still our number one driving source of leads is direct traffic from our website. So, or direct traffic from our brand, excuse me. So, it's a pretty powerful indicator. It's kind of hard to know sometimes what the indicators are of brand and success. But that's a clear one for us, is that we've been able to capture more traffic with our brand name and our awareness around our brand.
And marketing highly technical products is tricky. So
Mhm.
what strategies have worked best for you when you're trying to connect with, say, both engineers and procurement teams?
Yeah, yeah. I would really recommend any marketing leader really listen to their subject matter experts, their technical experts, and their sales team. Are you listening in on customer calls? Do you understand the pain points? Do you understand? I know people, marketers do a lot of buyer persona work, and, there's taking that a step further, which is really making sure you're getting in front of your customers and listening to their needs, listening to your sales team, using that as a way to catalog information, understand the pains, and then translate that into your messaging and your needs. For me, I actually report to our general manager, and he is an engineer. So it's really wonderful to have such a collaborative relationship with an engineer. And I always run all of my marketing materials through our engineering team. And again, that's a unique advantage of working at a small company, where I can actually say, "Hey, I created this technical guide, about adhesives after maybe an interview or something with one of my subject matter experts. And hey, can you review it and make sure it sounds accurate?" It's really wonderful to be able to do that. And I think secondly, something we've been implementing more in just in the last couple years has been AI, and utilizing AI to develop content along feeding it, right, the appropriate information. Like, we are the experts in this space, and we have so much information already available to our customers. But, we've been able to utilize AI to develop better content and streamline that process and develop it in a way faster way than we ever have been able to before.
Did you know your win rate drops by 90% if a deal sits idle for 2 months? Sales cycles are dragging, buyers go silent, decision makers keep multiplying. This 20-minute webinar shares data-backed insights and clear tactics to revive momentum fast and keep it going. Don't let your best opportunities stall out. Watch on demand, link in the episode description, and take back control of your pipeline.
You mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that Snaptron sources all its steel in the US. So how do you turn that procurement decision into a meaningful brand story for customers?
Mm, that's a great question. In our messaging, often throughout our website, in our sales conversation, we definitely use that language that we're made in the US, that we're sourced in the US. And right now, I think it's a really important indicator, because it indicates stability and supply chain stability and quality. And we run a very lean and successful procurement strategy in our team, which has to do with a lot of long established trusted partnerships with just a few suppliers in the US as well. So it allows us to get product in quickly and turn it right around to you. So it's really baked into the way we develop products and bring it to our customers, and how we manufacture products for our customers.
B2B manufacturing, if you would agree, digital visibility can lag. So
Mhm.
what worked for Snaptron in building a stronger digital presence without this big agency budget?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. So I think important first step if manufacturers, small, medium size, are trying to digitize, is to look at bringing in a marketing manager, or someone who can kind of do it all and then build out from there. It's really what Snaptron did. So they brought me on and then allowed me to build out a team that helps support the digitization of the marketing strategy. And, typically they had a very strong marketing function just from a sales support side, but they were missing and not capitalizing on all the opportunities digitally. They always had a very strong website. So a lot of the core principles of marketing were in place and being done really well. They just really hadn't taken it that step further. So, immediately when I came in, my first big, huge push was content. I was like, we have so much great tribal knowledge in the organization that's not being shared with our customers as a resource. And, immediately what we see is, okay, once we start answering those questions, we're meeting buyers at different stages and different channels, right? So maybe they're looking at a YouTube demo that we put out there, or maybe they found us through a Reddit forum where we're just answering a common question. So we found that they start finding us on all these channels that they already are on. So it was really about just meeting them where they are and adapting that content per channel, right? Saying, what channels are engineers on? How can we make sure that we're meeting them there? And that was just magnifying what we've already done, right? And just putting it in the right place. So much of marketing is just about placement, right? Too. So that's what we really capitalize on initially. And, I've seen the success over the years. Our website is our number one generator of pipeline and continues to be.
And what lessons would you say you've learned from building this internal buy-in for marketing initiatives that other marketers in manufacturers could?
Yeah, I think I learned that you have to have buy-in from your teams. You have to have support. So much of marketing too is internal, building relationships with key departments, making sure they support what you're doing and understand it and the why behind it. That's been a huge lesson, I think, for me early in my career, is just how important building those relationships are in order for success to happen, right? Because now when I bring an idea to the table, I'm heard. And even though I'm young in my career, a lot younger maybe than the other directors next to me, I can say that because I've taken time to build those relationships. And so when I bring a new idea to the table and I say, I want to try this, or this is what I'm seeing in the market, think about bringing this product to market, it's well received because the trust is already built and there. I would highly recommend that to any marketer, is make sure you have people on your side to support your efforts, and make sure that, marketing is from the top down. It's, everyone from the bottom up and top down believes it.
And you are exporting products outside of the US, right? And some
Yes.
of the countries are introducing new carbon reporting rules, which affect manufacturers like you, of course. So how do you prepare for that? And how does marketing help share those sustainability efforts with customers? Again, on the messaging, right?
Yeah. So a large portion of our business is not domestic, right? It's international. And the EU market, European market is a huge portion of that. We back in maybe 2022, I had an interesting conversation with a prospect in Germany. Actually, was at a trade show, and I was really blown away. His first question to me was not what you do, who you are, how does your solution help me? It was, how are you helping the environment, and how is your company minimizing carbon and emissions? And I was absolutely blown away at that time. It is not a question I had ever gotten, and it was never that forward. And I came back and said, wow, what are we doing in this kind of space? And we have been doing over the years lots of things to reduce emissions. It's just smart too, right? It's smart for any business to look at it and say, what can I save? What can I save my customers? So we had been already doing that, but we weren't talking about it. It was not interjected into our messaging. So CBAM, I don't know if you're familiar with that, is a new regulation that came out of the EU, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. And it's essentially a way for the EU, for any importers of EU products to the EU, saying, hey, we are following these strict emissions and carbon taxes. Now we're going to pass that expense onto you. And it's just a way to force manufacturers and importers to adhere to stricter standards and to kind of do their due diligence. And for us, we couldn't say, hey, this doesn't work for us. We need to say, how do we get compliant and how do we do that fast? Because this mechanism is in place, right? So, it's been a journey to get there, and even figuring out who can support us in the market, who can even do the reporting and help us sustain that, was we had to get a partner and how to get that all in place. Which we'd have, and it's been very fruitful. And what's been wonderful is just to see the data that we've gotten back from that. Now we can interject that into our messaging. We've created like a sustainability report. We can share that information to our customers. We can talk about the way we're saving them shipping costs, how we're doing our due diligence with recycling programs, and include them in that process. And we know for a fact that our customers value that that knowledge and that data. So it's been a very interesting journey, and we've just recently brought on a partner and are going through the process of measuring our carbon.
And with this global expansion on the horizon, how do you adapt your brand messaging for international markets while staying true to what Snaptron is, the roots that we were talking about?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's always been really important to the leadership at our company to have our site be translated into the languages of our customers in different areas, which I really appreciate. So even though we have this very strong, heavy, we're American made company, we're made in the US, that's, part of our quality and part of what we pass on to you. It also is, how do we reach and make sure we're reaching, our bigger markets? So, that's one way we've done that, is to make sure our site is translated. And, it's very technical information. So we had to work with a very good translation partner to make sure that we are speaking correctly to an engineer. It's not just some Google Translate option for us. So it's been an investment that we've always made in the marketing, is to make sure that we have the right language in place. And I think too, we look at what are like for example, sustainability. What things are coming from different regions in the world, and how do we appeal with our messaging in that way? Are we speaking to that audience appropriately? So we tend to kind of just say, oh, how are we speaking to engineers? Well, engineers in Europe are different than engineers in the US. One way, even just recently, that we've decided, hey, we need to get better resources to engineers in Europe, is by, we're on this essentially like a CAD site. So our customers can download of our parts and footprints and interject them right into their designs at the design process, and do that, whether they're using a software in Europe or whether they're using a software in the US. So just a couple of ways that we've been trying to say, hey, how do we a better appeal to all engineers despite where they're from?
And I would say, like we were mentioning, sustainability and how it became a part of your culture. You even partnered with some of the organizations to better your efforts, right? And
hmm
I, like, on the partnership side, I recently discovered that you partnered with Sabra Cook, professional race car driver and
Yeah.
engineer, who was the first female driver in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America, right?
Yeah.
And you also hosted events at the Colorado School of Mines. So what do partnerships like these reveal about Snaptron's culture and values?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a very fruitful partnership with Sabra and her team. So she's actually a mechanical engineer and a race car driver. So there was a lot of wonderful synergy in her audience. And, I'd recommend, if anyone in the manufacturing space is looking at influencing, which is such a
Awesome.
new thing, is to really look and see who is talking in that space. So Sabra was kind of just the tip of that for us. Her audience, when you took a look at her data and her audience, it actually matched ours, which was wonderful to see. So we have very similar audiences, but we're talking about different things, right? But it was just another way to reach our audience from an entertainment standpoint too, right? Because content has to be educational or entertaining, especially social media and modern media, right? So that was one way we said, we can really answer this need by being entertaining and showing our product in our products in steering wheels, it's in cars and automotive applications. And we know a lot of engineers are into racing, especially F1 and things like that. So we are in a lot of automotive applications, but we were struggling to reach that audience. So this was like a nice way to do that. Racing has been a part of Snaptron's brand for a long time. The owners are really into racing. Our current owner, Tanya, her daughter actually is starting to race in the GTR Cup as well. And, is a up and coming young female race car driver. I think part of that has been wonderful, is we have so much female leadership in a manufacturing company, which is pretty unusual in our space. Very much top down, coming from our owner, Tanya, and, promoting women and their careers and supporting that. But it's also been nice to see it in the partnership side as well. So, we're promoting female engineers in our space, and there's so much wonderful synergy in the relationship with those partnerships. So it's just been such a nice match for our brand.
And we mentioned innovation a couple of times during this conversation, but I wanted to ask you, do you think that there's a place for innovation in the marketing space in manufacturing, since it's a slow moving industry and a lot of it is, let's say, it's a unexplored territory for the marketers. So
Yeah.
what's your experience there?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a really exciting space. I know it doesn't seem like the flashiest, career path for marketing and a place that people don't think they'll end up, but there's so much opportunity to be creative in the manufacturing space, and this industry is hungry for it. So it's hungry for the talent. It needs a talent, and so that allows for so much flexibility in the strategy, right? And like I was just saying to you earlier, one ways that we've been able to do that and support that is look at influencing. So just even recently in our strategy, we've decided, hey, how can we work with influencers, and not just someone really cool and flashy like a race car driver, but an engineer who has an excellent following on YouTube and is building products live, right? That is our audience right there. They're watching those builds. So we're asking ourselves, how do we get into that? How do we get in front of an engineer? Wow, that's a really easy way to do it is, hey, can we support your build? Can we give you product? And we'd be happy to have you build our product right into yours, and we'll pay for it. And by the way, that's great exposure. Say that example is it's just a wonderful, sector to explore and test out these kind of new ideas and strategies that maybe are more, have already taken hold in B2C for years and years, but they haven't yet taken hold in this space. And it's a really cool opportunity for someone who's young and ambitious to be able to grow in their career and support a really cool creative approach to marketing and a strategy. And in my experience, it's been really well received by my leadership. So I can't speak to everyone's, but I think, like I said earlier in the conversation, if you build that rapport in those relationships and you listen and just listen and listen and listen first, and then you can, take that relationship to the next step with something, like, hey, I want to launch like an influencer program. Are you okay with that? And my team's like, yes, go for it.
And looking more broadly at the US manufacturing, how do you see the role of marketing evolving over the next 5 years? And what do you think unique challenges or opportunities are companies gonna face in this space?
Yeah. I think hiring is going to be a big one. So, workforce, right? Attracting talent is so important. It's, why we've been trying to do a bit more efforts on the university level, like you mentioned earlier with the School of Mines. We're not small and medium sized manufacturers in the US are not so well known. They're hard to find, even. I think that's going to be a big challenge to get the right talent, especially from a marketing side, especially from a skilled worker and labor side as well. We're seeing that. But, that's going to continue to be a challenge. So, how do you position yourselves to make sure you're attracting young talent, make sure you're even known, And we've just done that with these kind of outreach to universities. So, we're getting our engineers to be speaking at universities and talking to students. Just even saying, recently I just spoke with the Society of Women Engineers on a panel at School of Mines, and hey, we're out here. Hey, this is a career path. And interestingly enough, even if you are an engineer, this is also another alternative. You could be a sales engineer, or you could work in marketing as an engineer. You can write technical content. There's a huge need for that. So, I kind of see the challenge being mostly there. And then I think the other big thing is we're just going to see this big shift to digitizing and tools and digital tools, including AI. And I do wonder if that will help alleviate some of this need for labor to some degree, because there is this big gap happening right now in the industry. And I do wonder if AI can be that, solution for it, because all of a sudden you might not need, a 5-person marketing team. Maybe you can get away with 3. And that investment is a lot easier for manufacturers, small to medium manufacturer to swallow.
And for our audience who want to explore Snaptron more, what should they do? Your website, how they can reach out. Maybe you have some other channels, Discord, maybe LinkedIn, maybe YouTube.
Yeah, we run them all. We have a very robust social media manager who makes sure we're on all channels. So you can find us in numerous ways. I think the website is a great starting point if you want to learn more about our product and our category. But you can also find us on YouTube, see some more of our insides or, inside our manufacturing facility, see our processes, learn more about our products is a great way to start too if you prefer video. And then LinkedIn's always, a great option. Our team is pretty active on LinkedIn. Our sales team is as well. So, that's a great way to start conversations with us as well.
Yeah, guys, you can start by congratulating on their Oscar for manufacturing. Well, Nicole, thank you for being my guest here on the Green New Perspective podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for tuning in to Green New Perspective. This podcast is proudly sponsored by New Perspective. We are a Boston-based marketing agency working with Cleantech clients solely for over 20 years now. And if you want to check out how we help our Cleantech clients to grow, you can click on the link in the description of this episode. If you like what we do here with the podcast, giving some amazing people from all over the clean tech space a place where they can showcase their innovative tech aimed at combating climate change, you can support us in so many ways. You can leave reviews, comments, or consider subscribing to our channel on your favorite streaming platform. We've noticed that around 75% of you who are regularly watching our show are not subscribing. So just by hitting that subscribe button, you could help us to grow, to get even more people from the climate tech space and create additional content. So please consider doing that. Thank you in advance. And of course, thank you for tuning in to this episode, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.